Welcome back to another episode of the Cyber Queens. We are your Cyber Queens hosts. I'm Meryl Vernon, resident ethical hacker and offensive security expert, joined by Amber and Erica.
Amber DeVilbus, I'm an account director.
Erica Eakins, technical sales rep. And like I announced last time, I am a CEO officially starting now. I have gone off on my own to create a firm that is going to have amazing effects on the industry and those to come.
I am so excited. I've heard a lot about this. We won't divulge too much yet while she's getting it all figured out, but it's going to be a big step forward for diversity and inclusion in cyber. I'm very excited for Erica, who, by the way, cyber royalty wise, now officially outranks all of us, Amber. So we all have to.
There you go.
Just kidding. Don't let that go to your head. Just wait, it already did. Okay, fantastic. So today's topic, if you saw the title, it's mentoring and coaching in cyber. But this is actually going to be a really interesting discussion because if you've been paying attention to any of the cyber content creators out there, you'll see that there's kind of been a volley of posts going on. And what it does is it started with someone who put up a post saying, if a mentor is trying to charge you for their services, run. Mentors should never charge you. And I kind of resonated with that a little bit. I was like, I put up a post saying I've never charged anyone for mentoring and I never will, because to me, that's not the point of mentoring. Now, I did say in my post that there's a big difference between mentoring and coaching. And while I do believe that coaching has its place and coaching is the kind of thing you can charge for, and if you do want to mentor or if it breaches into coaching, whatever, but it's kind of become this debate about knowing your expertise, knowing your worth, getting paid for your time, which I believe in, but also mentoring is a way to kind of pay it forward and, give back to people who might not be able to pay for coaching, which is a whole separate school of thought. So it's kind of become, whoever you follow has probably posted an opinion about it in the last week or two. And if not, I'm sure people will after this. But what about you guys? What to you guys is the difference between a mentor and a coach? And then we'll get into this whole paid versus unpaid debate.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to say the same thing, right? So I feel like there are certain, I guess, mentorships. I mean, to me, I don't know of any paid mentorships, right? I feel like mentorship is kind of a lot of what we do every single day, right? We're helping people as they reach out to us and they say, hey, I have questions on here, or I love what you're doing. Can you tell me how you got in, right? And that, I mean, to me, maybe I'm just super duper old school, but I just feel like there's no point in charging for that. That's just being a good person, right? And helping the next person, because all of us need help at some point. And I feel like coaching absolutely has more of a plan to it. There's more of a structure. There's more of an end goal of milestones that you hit. And here's what we got to get you to in order to get to, wherever it is you want to be. And that like you said, I do understand having a paid coaching program, and we are friends with so many of those folks, including Meryl and everything else. So that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah. What about you, Erica?
You should never charge to be a mentor. A good example is WeSys. They have a mentor-mentee program. You pay for a membership to be part of WeSys, but you are not paying for these ladies that are going to mentor you as a younger female who wants to get into cyber or whatever your goals are. Life coaches, business coaches, all those things, absolutely you can charge for. I am going to hire a coach myself as a new CEO. I do believe that I will need a coach and not necessarily just a mentor. I might have both, but there is some stuff that I need to learn, and I can only learn that from a coach and a mentor, but I would never pay for a mentorship.
Yeah, I feel like, when I started, we've all heard how I leaned on mentors very hard. I had several. In fact, now I have a communications mentor, someone who helps me change my habits in meetings and stuff, and is helping me present better. But then I also have my career development mentor and stuff. But I feel like mentoring is, it's a time commitment. It's not like it just takes 5 minutes of your time every week and you're done. But you sit down and have a conversation. But again, I feel like it's a way to pay it forward. It's a way to give back, right, to the people who at one point not coached you. I should use that term delicately, but who advised you right. And gave you that advice to get going, in the beginning. And I won't be charging for that because mentorship is very. But to me, the difference is mentorship is letting you benefit from my experience, right? Mentorship is when I started, let's say I researched 20 different certifications and tried to figure out which one I should get. And I asked a few people. Someone comes to me, if I want to do 1, 2, or 3 jobs, which certs did I get? I'm just going to say from my experience, it's going to be this one for this reason, this one for this reason, or this one for this reason, without them having to go through that same exercise. But am I going to say, here's your study plan, here's the resources, here's who I recommend you get it from, here's the platform. No, because I'm not a coach, but I bodybuild, and I don't get mentoring from my coach. I don't just say, hey, I'd like to ask you some questions about fitness and nutrition occasionally, and like, how did your experience benefit your bodybuilding journey? Like, I need customized meal plans and workout plans and macros and check-ins and things like that. But it's much more heavy-handed. Coaching, I think, is much more heavy-handed and much more action plan driven, whereas mentoring is really just advice and guidance. Would you guys agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just was telling you guys that I hired a new coach. He's written my meal plans. He's written my diet, my meal plan, my workouts, any supplement regimens, but he's a lifestyle health coach because I'm getting out of the bodybuilding mentality for a while, and I need to learn what my body is as kind of like a healthy lifestyle over 40, and going forward. And then if I want to bodybuild again, I'll deal with that then. But that's a paid service. I made a 1-year commitment. He has 4, 6, 12-month commitments, and I made a commitment to him, and he, weekly check-in, holds me accountable. I have an app that I have everything on. Nobody does that kind of stuff for free. That's not just advice and guidance.
Yeah. So when do you guys think mentoring kind of bridges that chasm into coaching? Like, when do you think it goes from being like, I'm willing to sit down and give you my time and answer some questions, into now I'm holding your hand and I am providing coaching services? Like, when do you?
I'm a great example of that. I'm going from sales for the last 12 years to now being a CEO. I need a coach. I do have like I said, I'm going to have a mentor, but now I have to make this shift onto what's a CEO. Like, I know what it is. What do they do? How do they do it? My mentor is going to give me guidance, but there's going to be a life coach. There's going to be things that I have to learn that I can't do or can do, and figure all of that out. So for me, that's a good example. I'm switching from being a W-2 salesperson for the last 12 years to now opening my own firm. So that's a huge shift. That's a good example, in my opinion.
I mean, I would say, well, there's 2 analogies I have. Well, one's an analogy, one's not. So for example, Cybrary is a good website that I've used for a long time. And when I first started recommending it to people, it was free, right? And then it wasn't until, because this was a million years ago, guys, and then when I was recommending this first. And then some people started saying, hey, you recommended Cybrary on one of your TikToks as free, but it's not free. And I'm like, oh, okay, there you go. So it's no longer a freemium, right? Like, it's like there's paid features. And I think when you're talking about mentorship and going into coaching, like, when you said that, I kind of put myself in that position, like, okay, these people that I'm helping mentor, right? And I'm maybe hopping on one call, or maybe, whatever. I'm answering emails a few times back and forth. When it starts to become something where it's like almost a cadence of some sort, that's where I feel like it's like, okay, like you said, hand holding. It's like, look, I kind of gave you the example, and here's my analogy, I guess. If I'm getting housework done or yard work or whatever it is, because this is an active, constant thing in my life, getting an estimate to me is a lot like a mentorship, right? You're getting, hey, here's some ideas of what we think you can be doing. Here's what it may or may not cost. If you choose to move forward with us actually doing the work and putting in the time and the resource and the skill set, then that's when we would charge you, right? So I think it's kind of like that in this industry, right? If somebody's taking so much time that it's not necessarily like a quick small talk conversation of, hey, I've tried this once, let me know if that works. It's like, hey, it didn't work. What else did you do? And it's like, okay, maybe I'll take even that second call. Okay, well, maybe try this one then, right? But if it starts to become like, okay, this is going to need a lot more hand holding, then I feel like that's when you kind of put together a plan, right? So
yeah. I would say my mentees are probably watching this, or hopefully they do at some point, and they're like, wow, like, I got a lot more coaching style things from Meryl than mentor style things. Like, I do set up regular meetings every week or every other week with my mentees, and I'm like, what'd you get done? What are you working on next? What can I help you with? What can I give you advice with? And like, I've redone their LinkedIns, I've redone resumes, I've like hunted down like job postings and stuff, probably like way more than I need to. But it's because I take each of my mentees personally, and I'm like, if I'm going to help you break or pivot, then I want to actually help you break or pivot. Like, I want to help you benefit from like the places where I know to look and the things that I know to say and do. So I probably give away a little too much for free, but I don't care. That's just what I do. But I'm also, though, not a coach, because I think coaches are responsible for the outcome. Coaches are saying, kind of like your landscaping analogy, like, I put my expertise on the line, and I have said, if you pay me this much and give me this much time, this will be the result. If you train with me for a year and you follow my meal plan to a T, this will be your result. Coaches are literally saying, you pay me to get you to a place, and I believe in myself enough that I know I can get you there. Right. Mentors are like, I'm here to give you my advice and I'm here to answer some questions, but like whether or not you do that thing, you buy that book, if you take that course, if you apply to that job, if you use my interview techniques, that's on you. I'm not really like, and I actually, this brings up a great story. I had a mentee fire me once as a mentor. And that is because this person like literally was like texting and calling me multiple times a day. Like I was like 24/7 on call for this person. And it was, I wasn't mad because it was a very high maintenance mentor mentee relationship to begin with. And I probably didn't do a very good job establishing boundaries as the mentor. Because again, this person was in a desperate situation. I just wanted to help. But then they were like, you're not giving me enough time. Like you're not seeming very responsive. You don't seem like you really have enough time to help me do this and da da da. And I'm like, dude, I have done everything I can, but I can't take the steps for you. I can't live your life for you. I'm still, at the time I was a single mom. This was last year. Like I'm still a single parent. Like I'm talking to you in the car with my kids. Like I just picked them up from school and like you're getting my time right now. Every time I prioritize you over my family and my free time, like that's a choice. So it was, it was one of those things where I did not have coaching time and they fired me as their mentor for that. And I just don't think they really realized what the role of a mentor was supposed to be.
Well, see, and that's what I think right there, even how you said it, right? Firing a mentor. Like you can't, that's like saying I'm having a casual conversation in an elevator with somebody. They can't fire you, right? I'm firing this other human in an elevator. Like it's a mentorship, right? So it's very, I feel like you said, results driven. And it's something that on your side as a mentor, it's like, at what point should I start charging for my time because it's eating into my free time or it's eating into the time I've set aside for work or for family or, whatever. So yeah, I definitely think that all coincides.
At a certain point in time. Oh, go ahead, Narika.
Sorry. Somebody commented, I wouldn't expect to have deliverables to a mentor, Daniel. And I think that's perfectly said. Simple, to the point. You cannot hold them to deliverables.
Well, I hold myself to them. Like, I'm willing to help you out with this. I'll do that. But I followed through on everything I said I would do. But like, again, this person was like, really like, you're not doing enough. Like you said, you'd have this and this and this and this. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Right.
Yeah.
Are you matching my effort? Yeah. I watched these two fabulous courses on Pluralsight, which we'll link in the notes for you. Both of them by my good friend and mentor, ironically, Jason Alba. At Pluralsight, he's a Pluralsight author. They're Pluralsight courses. And one is how to be a good mentee and one is how to be a good mentor. And it kind of defined for me the differences between each and what you can expect. He was like, now it's a time commitment on both parts, like you agree to give this person your time, but they agree to show up prepared and show up having looked into whatever it is they asked you about or whatever. And if it gets to a point where they're like, I didn't have time for that. I didn't have time for that. Then it's like, maybe we should cancel these until you do have time or you're ready for the next piece or the next project. And you are ready to benefit again. Like if you're plateauing and treading water and just managing the projects you've got, then that's fine. But you don't need me to mentor you to the next stage if that's where you're at.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree with that. That's actually, I'm going to actually have to read that.
Yeah, they're great little courses. They're such fast ones too. Really easy to digest. Both of them like 35 minutes, I think, each. So really good Windshield University type material. But it kind of illuminated for me when I approach someone to be my mentor. I'm like, this is what I need. This is what I expect. This is what I'm willing to contribute. This is what you will see me put forth, so that your time, your investment of time isn't wasted on me. But I don't demand deliverables from my mentors, and yet to my mentees, I'm like working myself to the bone. Like, I'll have your LinkedIn done. I'll have your resume done. I'll find 5 jobs for you. I'll link up 5 people for you to talk to. And I'm like, why am I doing this to myself?
Yeah, I see. I feel like that right there is coach. I feel like, okay. And if we're putting this into another analogy though, especially because the comment that just came in, right? I do feel like it's kind of like getting legal advice, right? Like when people say, hey, I'm not a lawyer, but here's what I would do. That's a mentorship, right? I feel like a coach is like, all right, I'm your lawyer. I'm your coach. Give me all the facts. Let me, take this all, process it, spit some stuff out, right? You get me the things I need. I get you the things you need. We have an agreed upon deliverable and end result. That to me is coaching. Like all of this stuff that Meryl does, let's be real, is coaching. This is not mentorship anymore because she goes above and beyond.
You go above and beyond.
Yeah.
Well, my next question was going to be, when do you think people should start charging for their time? When do you think content creators go from giving their value for free and providing formal or informal mentorship into being coaches? And like, they should start charging. Like
anytime you're having to get on more than one call or email, you know what I mean? Or like, for example, here's a really good example. Cause I've struggled with this a lot. I actually had a life coach. She was awesome. She approached me for the first time. I had never had somebody like this talk to me. She was like career coach, sorry, not a life coach. And she gave me some free advice, right? And she was like, "Are you monetizing your TikTok videos?" And I was like, "No, of course not. It's just
It's always
just me. It's just my brain throwing up information and hoping somebody catches on, right? Like it's not meant to be like, here's your step-by-step plan, right?" And so for me, that's like the people that follow me for little tips and tricks. I'm like almost like a mentor in that sense, because it's like, okay, I'm giving advice, I'm giving links out, and it's kind of widespread. I'm not taking time to sit down with one specific person. But when those people reach out, I was like, I did tell her I had to push a lot of people away because people were like, "Hey, can you hop on a call?" And she was like, "You should monetize that. You should absolutely do that." I think that is when you do it, Meryl. You should have been doing this a long time ago, though.
Yeah,
Probably.
you should have been charging.
I'm a bleeding heart, you guys. It's little and black, but it bleeds for people. Okay,
Little and black.
Right.
Just doing what I can with the time that I have. But I have had to start. People like, "Can you mentor me? Can you mentor me?" And I'm like, I've got 2 or 3, and like I put so much that I'm pretty maxed out for now. But like,
Right.
if you come to me with a quick question or a quick like or a quick like I just need a quick resource, like which one of these, pick one, go, like which one of these should I research, and like you pick one and go, like that's quick and easy. That's like a 2-minute DM type situation. Right. I can do that, but I can't sit down with you as often as I do these other people, and like I've committed to them first and I want to see them through to their end goal before. But I have mentees move on from me all the time. Like they're like, "Okay, great, we achieved this goal together, good job." And they're like, "But next I want to do this." I'm like, "Well, I'm no longer the right mentor for you. You're gonna have to go find someone in that space or with that vertical or that niche to help you with the next step. I'm not going to be your best source of expertise anymore." But that's a great point, Amber. I think the cyber queens are kind of mentors because people can come consume these episodes and we can give out our experiences and our advice and like what we recommend, and whether or not people do that, totally up to them, right? But like,
it's just another thing, right?
Yeah, but we're not here saying if you do what we say, you will end up here.
Right.
Like that's not what we promise.
And I think that's. Oh, go ahead, Erica.
No, I was going to say that earlier, that the cyber queens were kind of like a general mentorship for people that are not in the industry, people that are in the industry. I think we've made a lot of headway, even though it doesn't seem like it at the time. I always feel like we're so far behind with what we're trying to do with the cyber queens. But then I actually sit down and think and look at how many people reach out and how many people interact and how many people are sharing, just our posts and our episodes. And I get DMs constantly like, "Loved your episode." Ray, if you're listening, she went to the gym today. She was all hyped up and ready to watch the podcast. She messaged me on LinkedIn and I did not respond. So Ray Tierney, I apologize for not responding. But she has told me so many times how much we have helped her and that it resonates. And she is going to be on the show eventually, by the way. We're going to have Ray Tierney on here. But I love you, Ray. Thank you for your support. Go ahead, Amber.
Yeah, I still get DMs weekly. We get DMs weekly. Like, thanks for putting this out there. Thanks for giving me a point of relatability. Thanks for letting me know I'm not the only one. And I'm like, great.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I feel like mentorship, there's so many, to me, I think about things a lot differently. Like I know a lot of people in this industry are very, like hard skilled set, right? Like they're like, a mentorship is when I'm learning about this. And it's like, I don't think a lot of us realize like every connection we have, you should be able to gain insight, whether it's, hey, I want to be like this, or hey, I don't want to be like this, from almost every person you meet and interact with, right? So it's just another source. Cyber Queen's just another source of somebody's mentorship throughout their day, right? There's TikTok videos, there's YouTube videos, there's, talking to your coworkers. There's a million different things you can use as mentorship just because they're not like a program or specifically one part of your life. Like both of you are my mentors, right? In different respects, in different ways. There's so many things like Meryl, you and I have not really sat down and done like a mentorship or like a coaching thing yet, but let's be real. Watching you work, I'm like, oh my God, like I need to really step it up in some areas. You know what I mean? Like that to me is like a mentorship for me. It's my own personal way of doing that. And Erica has to listen to me all day, every day, complain about things left and right at, whatever it is, whether it's life or work or family or anything.
Yeah, so Erica's your therapist.
I'm your therapist
for free.
See,
Thank you.
I also helped you realize, and I don't want to say helped you get into sales because you did it yourself, but I helped you through that transition period of pre-sales, sales engineer or solution architect to sales. Yeah. So like we are each other's mentors. I look at Meryl and I'm like, gosh, I have a hard time falling asleep, and I don't eat right now because I have stress. But Meryl's like doing 800 jobs, has mentors. She's like,
I know,
got all this stuff
like
going
I said,
on in her life. I'm like, Like, I feel inadequate at this point. Okay.
No, that's never my goal. No one be like me. Okay. Everyone's like, how have you not burned out yet? I'm like, I'm so close on a daily basis. Okay.
Yeah.
It's like, there's some mornings the queens wake up and it's like that TikTok, like, hey, how's it going? I'm about to have a mental breakdown. How are you? And she's like, nice. I've had 3 already.
Nice.
It's going great. Like, we're all there together. Like, we're probably,
Yeah, no, I
we
love this
preach
comment.
work-life balance, but we're not great examples.
Yeah, I loved that comment just now. I'm blind, so I'm trying to read it a little bit better.
From Mendy.
Oh, do you want to throw back
Mendy
up?
Green?
Throw back up?
Yeah,
There's
no,
so many lessons to learn just from how people behave. So many nuances to pick up on, which is really what mentorship versus coaching, which is a structured, planned program focused on a goal. Exactly.
That's the word. That's why I didn't get it right. Thank you. It's structured. So it's the difference between Meryl and I, right? I feel like it's like on the whim, off the fly, like, woo, here we go. Yeah, sure. Sounds good.
And I'm like,
Meryl's
what's our plan? Where's our goals?
Right. She's like, what are our objectives? I'm like, what?
What?
Exactly.
No, actually, I have people ask me all the time, how we're monetizing Cyber Queens. Like, you guys are giving away tons of shit for free. And I'm like, this is just literally how we think and feel. This is not like tailored to anyone. This is not like meant to be like, we give actionable advice, I feel, but we're not sitting here telling people, you better go implement this right away. We're saying this is what's worked for us. And like, honestly, we don't monetize Cyber Queens right now.
Right.
We probably should. But for me, I go to influencer brain, right? Because I used to work in social media marketing in my previous life, before Cyber, for those of you who don't know. And I have seen so many influencer funnels. Sometimes I watch their little webinars just to see if their funnel's any good. And what their webinar always is this is how I achieved X result. This is how I built X following. This is how I monetize whatever program product. And they kind of tell you how they went about evaluating and showcasing it and They're like, now here's how you can do it too. And they give the most high level tips possible. And then at the end they go, now you can try and implement this yourself, and you can take 2 to 3 years to see results of it. Or you can hire me to help you realize those results in 60 days or less. And that's when they start. So like willing to give away the sort of the how at a high level, but they're like, but if you want me to give you a tailored,
it's kind of like, it's kind of like unconscious. Yeah, like unconscious mentorship. That's like what an influencer is, right? They're not like intentionally doing stuff, right? But a lot of us, I mean, we follow people on social media, right? Like whether it's for working out or for this job, or hey, here's how to get wealthy in the long run, right? We take tips and tricks, and I don't think, like a lot of the time, because obviously we all are influencers here in our own ways and our own, verticals. But I do think that there's a lot of stuff I put out there just because there's no like intention, right? Like when you get up there on stage, Meryl, and you're talking about social media and like, here's how you do this and here's your plan because you have one, right? I'm just like, when they ask me, they're like, so what's your, like, what are your objectives? I'm like, I just post things that are on my brain in that moment. There is no rhyme or reason as to why I'm quote unquote successful in that area. I just sometimes like authenticity and having no plan, you'll be surprised. Maybe you'll find your niche that way. Right. But there's the Meryls and the Ericas of the world. And then there's the Ambers of the world that are like, sure, woo, that works. Right. Like there's no reason.
It takes all kinds. Right. No one marketing approach works for any 2 people. Okay.
Right. And so I think that's kind of important too, right? Because when I first started making those videos, I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have like that first cybersecurity video I made. I was like, well, knowing me, I'll have all the trolls that are like, you didn't add this, or this. Right. And so I was trying to add as many books as I could, as many links as I could to different free websites, as many things. Of course, right. All the certifications. Right. And I'm like, I hope, like, first of all, I haven't done these ones, so hopefully this is right. And I was trying to just like get information out there as fast as possible. And it ended up catching on. And now I'm like, oh, maybe this is what people actually like hearing about. This is easy. I can dumb all this down all day, right? Like this is my thing, right? And then you have Meryl, who's got more of a very strategic way to get to A to B. Mine's like, woo, go for it. See what works.
So. Honestly, I love Amber's approach. So like just how you said you learned from me, I learned from you. Like honestly, like being a super structured A-type Hermione Capricorn type person has only served me so far. But like if I never grow, then I'm never going to grow in anything different. So like I've learned to like relax it down and tailor it back and like not be such a control freak about like my own content and stuff. And like, it's like I'll scroll on my feed, I'll see an audio, then I'm like, I could remix that for Cyber, and I just make it right there and I post it and I do it and I don't really care and I never look at it again. So because I have anxiety. I don't want to know how well it performed. I just want to leave this here and you can have it if you want. But
right, exactly.
You've
It's
taught
like
me to
what we
have
do
more
at
fun
Teach
with
Kids
it.
Tech. Yeah, it's like at Teach Kids Tech, here's Amber. I'm just like, I made this, drop it. I made this, drop it. And then Erica and Meryl are like, oh my God, pick it up, come on.
Yes.
Try to like
yes.
operationalize it.
Turn it.
Yeah, two different person. It's good to know who you are, okay, at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's
That's
true.
the other thing. You have to know who you
Let's hear it.
are to become a mentee or a mentor. Just saying.
I always
Go
tell
ahead,
people,
Meryl.
my approach might not be the best for you. Like, you could learn ethical hacking from any one of a dozen people, but like, this is how I did it. And like, this is going to be my approach. It's not the only or the best. It's just the one that works for me and the one that I know the best. So like, try on different people. Don't necessarily just like accept the first person who says yes. But Amber, I want you to know, every time you text me, Meryl, you would be so proud. I stuck it to this person. I'm like,
I know. I was like, guys, I'm setting boundaries. Look at this.
I'm so proud of you, Amber. Our boundary conversations you've really grown over the last year.
Oh man.
I'm really proud.
Oh man.
Setting boundaries, speaking of boundaries, but setting boundaries in mentoring and coaching are very, very important. Amber and I have been working on setting boundaries with each other, not with each other, but in our lives. Meryl has been working on it. Well, the three of us have no boundaries, but it's like what Meryl said, like she takes on so much and she takes on more than she probably should as a free service. You need to start setting boundaries personally for yourself. Like, okay, I don't want to monetize this because I'm greedy for money, but it's going to set the expectation for what I will do as far as mentoring versus coaching. And I wouldn't discount that you can monetize that, Meryl, because I've learned so much from you in the last, year and a half that year and a half that we've known each other since we started
Cyber over a
Queens.
year, because our Cyber Queens anniversary just came up, but we launched in September, so that has to mean when we started working on it and like theorizing it, I think.
So a year, May of 2022 is when this all started, and I've learned so much from Amber in different ways. But back to what I was saying about boundaries, it's very, very important because you have a family, Meryl. Your mentee that fired you, you didn't set boundaries. Okay, great. You learned from that. But like, for example, my coach who does my training and diets now, he set boundaries right away. These are my business hours. This is when I respond. This is how I do it. He put everything, the expectations from me and from him. And this is a paid service. So it's the same thing with mentoring. Like, if you look at the WeSys mentoring program, I'm pretty sure there's going to be things that they do not offer because it is a free service. You're a member of WeSys,
and it sprawls so quickly.
Yeah, and it sprawls. When I've worked for companies like Sentinel One, my last employer and final employer, before I went out on my own now, they have a mentorship program, and it had very specific guidelines and rules of what they do and what they don't do. And that, that was free, obviously, to the employees, and the mentors and the mentees, but it had boundaries. So again, I'm going to say this one last time and then I'm done on my rant. Setting boundaries is key in this whole thing with coaching and mentoring, and not just that, in life, because then things can be so much easier, and then you're not feeling inadequate that you didn't help somebody or do something. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I know it's my intrinsic programming being like, you're not being helpful enough. You're not doing enough. And like, that's why I do it. Like, I'm such a bad example. I'm like,
we're people pleasers. That's what we are. We are all three people pleasers. I'm telling you, it just is what it is sometimes. But it kind of ties into that comment that you just had up on the screen from Brandon, I think. Sorry, I'm blind. So we're going to have to just
Brandon Parsons.
There we go. Yep. There's the font that I need. So sometimes you'll find more purpose in life by simply helping others. Right. And that's so key. And I feel like this is something that I've struggled with. This is something that I continue, as you guys know, to struggle with, right? Because I want to do so many things for so many people just because that's who I am at heart. But then I realize like it is taking its toll on me. And at what point do I kind of balance this or learn to say no, but also still, and that's kind of why I do TikToks, right? Because I know me. That's number one, right? I know that I won't have the time to dedicate that people deserve from a person, from a role like this, right? So I put out TikToks. I'm like, if, like you said, take what you need, right? If it works, it works. If not, I'm sorry. You're welcome. I don't know. But that's how I do it, right? Because I just know that I don't have the time needed to do that, because we do stuff
Yeah.
outside of this, teach kids tech, all the other stuff too. So,
and I would say I've gotten better at knowing my limits. Like I've gotten to the point where I know when I have to say no. Like I absolutely would so
Right.
love to be a part of that, but I do not have the time to properly dedicate to it, which would make
Thank
me feel
you.
worse than just not saying no from the get-go. Like no to more mentees, no to certain projects, no to like, I would love to write that paper and have it be published with you guys, but I just can't right now.
Thank you, by the way.
I've gotten better there. Yeah. But you know what's so interesting is when I worked for Zoom, so Zoom has a few core values like service to customer, service to and service to self, like the employee matters. And so in interviews, they actually ask you like, how do you prioritize yourself? How do you execute that? Like, and we want to hear people say, I set boundaries. I don't just log on at midnight because someone tells me I have to, or I don't, I take my lunch break for 30 minutes in the middle of my day because I need that to reset for the latter half of my day. Like they want to hear how people set boundaries professionally working from home. And I'm like, I think I said I did some things and never did a single one of those things as service to myself, literally ever. But it's one of those things where they put such an emphasis on it and I still didn't love it. I had a permission. And
there you go. Meryl's like, what's lunch? Like that's Meryl.
Lunch?
She's a shirt. Yeah.
Is that just working while you put food in your mouth? That's what I do.
Somebody feeds you while you're still typing. That's exactly it.
Yeah. I've literally been typing. I'm like, bite. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're like driving. I think it's gotten to the point though, where like, kind of getting into that, when should you start monetizing? For me, it's just going to come down to like, let's say I have 3 hours a week collectively to mentor people. And I would love to mentor so many people in that time, but it's going to come down to like, I can only take on so many of you.
Right.
I would love to serve all 10 of you, but I can take on 3. And if like those 3 want more hands-on and they are willing to pay for the coaching, then like, I will accept that because I have to do more with the finite resource of time that it is. Like it's gotten to the point where I can't just turn out blogs and turn out all these things like for free. It's like, I have to do more, make more money with the hours I have in a day. Like, so I have to do more with less. I can't just keep expecting more to come out of nowhere because it never will.
Yeah.
So yes. So with that
question to you both before you, I don't know where you were going, but
I'm gonna go final takeaways, but go ahead.
Oh, really quickly. Well, this could be final takeaways, but I kind of wanted to see what you guys thought about when you look for a mentor or when you think you need a mentor. What do you look for, or what do you want to stay away from? Can either of you give advice on that?
Yeah, let's do that as final takeaways. That's perfect.
Yeah.
Erica coming in clutch with the great ideas.
I would say my biggest thing is authenticity, because I don't care how good you are at what you do. If you don't have a way to relate to the people that you're talking to, you should not be giving advice. So I think it's good to find authentic people who are not afraid to show the struggle in their success and who can be real and say, empathetic and empathize. Oh my God, you know the word. Anyway, and who can really sympathize and empathize with where you are and meet you where you are. Not expect you to be at a certain level before you're good enough for this advice, right? So I think that's huge. And what to stay away from is everything I didn't just say, right? Like all the bad things. Like if somebody is like, if somebody makes it very apparent that they're kind of like, my biggest, something that's the most off-putting thing to me that humans do is entitlement, right? Or I'm better than you. That kind of vibe of like, I'm better than everybody, right? Like no humility or humble anything in you, immediately red flag, run away, right? So for me, it's are they approachable and are they authentic? And is it something you can learn from them because you comprehend what they're saying because of the connection that you have?
Yeah, so. I agree. And from a military background, I met so many like 4-star generals who were like, oh, I'm like big guy on campus. Now I'm like, dude, you put on your uniform the same as we all do, one leg after the other. Like you've just been in the service longer, but you don't know where I'm going to get at the end of my career one day. So like, I just talk to them like people like, I'm not going to go talk to the 4-star. I'm like, why? Just go talk to him like a normal dude. I'm sure he would love for people to go talk to him, treat him like normal. That's a good point. Yeah. For me, something I look for. So I always fly on the wall for like a good quarter before I approach somebody. I always see, like, I want to see them on a webinar. I want to see them on a podcast. I want to see their personality come through because I am a very unique and very strong personality and I don't get along with everybody and that's okay. Like I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I love you guys too. Yeah. But no, it's true. Like I I just, it can be off-putting. And so I don't drive with everybody, and that's fine. I don't want to be someone who's for everyone. I want to be someone who is who I am authentically and finds the people who drive with me. So that's great. So I always fly on the wall for a while. I see what type of content they post, what other people say about them, how they present themselves. And then I decide if I want to get advice from that person. But the thing I look for is, are you in a position where I want to be? And did you start in a position where I currently am? Because that means you've made the leap that I'm hoping to make. You're able to give me the advice to get to the step where I want to get. And I want to see how you pivoted. I want to see, like, if it's 2 or 3 steps, you became a CRO and you started off here. What were the steps you took in the middle? Would you would you do that same thing again? Do you think there's a better way? Is there someone else's career you would have rather emulated? And I want to know those things. And I so I basically try and find the best example that I can emulate. That's what I look for. And then I look for a style and approach that's similar to mine. And I want someone who's not going to BS me. Like, I want someone who's going to don't just say you're doing a great job, everything will work out fine. I don't believe in that. That's like happy talk. I'm like, I want to hear you didn't do this. You fumbled that. You dropped that. But on the plus side, you did great at this and great at this and great at this. So now we know the gaps. Now we know the things you got to work on. Here's some resources. Here's some people to follow. Go forth and work on those things. So I'm like, great. Like, that's perfect. Like, I hate it when people go, oh, Meryl's just killing it so much. Like as a TA or like as a student or like whatever, like, oh, you're just doing so great. You're just on autopilot. We just think you need no help at all. And it's like, I would like to improve. I'm not the best hacker out there. I'm not the best blog writer out there. Like, I know I used to purposefully put errors in my reports and then have coworkers read them. And if they said, yeah, looks great, looks perfect, I'm like, I know you didn't read it.
Like, now I don't trust you.
I put supercalifragilisticexpialidocious in my intro and you didn't even find it. Like,
I love that.
So I'm watching you guys. So I just, I stay away from people who are lackadaisical. Like, the thing I hate is like, oh, great. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Oh, no, that sounds awesome. I'm like, can you give me something? Can you give me something actually? Like a therapist? I fired my therapist. It's like,
I was going to say, I fire therapists that tell me yes. I'm like, no, I know there's something wrong with me. You need to help me. Be more like Erica. I need you to yell at me in private.
Why do you think you got there? What do you think? I'm like, if I had the right freaking answer, I wouldn't be talking to you and paying you $50 an hour to tell me this stuff. Like, I need actionable advice. Thank you very much. So,
well, and that's one last thing I was going to say. One of my favorite quotes about advice is never take advice from somebody you wouldn't trade lives with. So that's a huge one, right?
Yeah.
Never.
That's actually a kind of a good segue into what I look for. So what I look for in somebody is obviously what both of you said, authenticity, where they've been in their career, where they started, where they're going, how they got there. But the biggest thing I look for is how that person is in their personal life. Because if you're great at what I'm trying to get at the path that I'm trying to take, but you're a horrible person outside of that, I'm probably not going to hire you. So not that I get into these people's business, but I do ask some personal questions when I look for like a mentor or a coach. And I kind of try to see where they are in their personal life as well as their professional life, because I know a lot of people that are good professionally, but horrible personally. Some people are horrible professionally, but great people in their day-to-day life. So I go a little bit deeper beyond the surface of what they do for a living and how they got there, because I don't want somebody to mentor me that, is great, on LinkedIn or face value, but yet he or she is just a complete jerk in their personal life. So that's kind of what that's what I look for and what I stay away from. And one of the other things that I stay away from is I stay away from mentors that have worked at companies that I know are toxic. So there's
like you endorse that culture kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. And, I've worked for a couple organizations that have boasted about their culture. And then I get in there and the management team is horrid, like horrible people. And I can't even begin to tell you some of the horrific things that I've seen. Because somebody that works for a company that is toxic, that means they're okay with that in their lives and they're okay with others treating, the employees terribly. So I kind of dig a little bit beyond that, because again, it's all about the person as a person, not just what they do for a living. Because you wouldn't take advice from somebody that preaches about God, but really is, kneeling down to the devil every night. You know what I mean? That's like a good example. Like you're a godly person at face value, but at home you're, praising Satan.
Yeah.
So
don't
you're
do
not
that
always
in your free time.
No,
Yeah.
and you're not always going to get that, because sometimes mentors and coaches, they don't want to go with their personal life. But the coach that I just hired for my diet and meal plan, I asked him a ton of personal questions. I want to know if he's a crappy person, and he's not.
Yeah.
So that's kind of I dig a little bit deeper. You guys always know I dig below the surface.
Yeah, it's like same values, finding like-minded values. And that's I'm full of one-liner quotes, guys. I spend all my time on Pinterest. No, but I think there is one that I do love too, and it kind of goes with that, right? Because it's a little bit opposite of what you're saying, but I think at a value level, or values level, it coincides, and it's how you do one thing is how you do all things. So like you said, so if you're staying at a toxic company, it's either that, maybe it's not that you agree with the culture, but you're complacent, right? And why would I want to take advice from
complacency is passive participation. Like, it's cooperation. Like saying nothing is just as bad as helping.
Exactly. So not exactly your ideal candidate for a mentor. So
our key takeaways are: be authentic, and to that effect, don't be an a-hole.
Yeah, there you go.
Love that.
Don't be very simple.
Authenticity values.
One-liners from the Cyber Queens. That's what we've got for you. All right. Well, this has been.
On that note.
Yeah, on that note, we're gonna get out before we say any more bad things. People are gonna come at us in the comments. Actually, please do. That's engagement, and I'll take it. So with that, this has been another episode of Cyber Queens. We thank you so much for hanging out with us today, learning a bit about mentorship and coaching in cyber and in general. We hope you go out and implement these practices, trying to find mentors of your own. But if not, we're not your coaches, so we're not on the line for that.
Free advice.
We hope to see you back next week. Please, if you do like the content, like, share, subscribe. It's absolutely free and the best way you can support us. If not, again, please tell me in the comments, because I'll take it, and I love to have debates with people. Otherwise, we love you. We wish you light and success, and we will see you next week.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.